Hello and welcome to my weekend review and mail haul. This is Captain Stitches and I am Jean. First, let me quickly say hello to my early birds, and of course the one who caught the worm is Vintage Style by Joe. And then we have Thread My Bobbin Jane, Debbie Williams, and Carol Rousseau. Thank you, all of you, my early birds. Welcome, welcome. So let's start right in with what I have been working on this past week. And I have been busy. But then, what week aren't I busy, right? But let's get with it. Let me see. First of all, well, we've cut this kind of backwards, so we'll show you the part that I have left. Of course, I'm working on Over the River and Through the Woods. I think maybe we're going to be to grandmother's house within the next day or two, it looks like. But this middle one with the saying over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go is the only one that I have left. That's not a nest up there. That's my thread. That's where I left off working. Hello, Teresa Louise. Welcome to you. But I only have the tree and some of those. You can't see them. They're real light in the background yet, but have those left to go. And since I'm holding this up, I just want to give a little tip. Do not, if you are going to add drawing onto your pattern that's not there, do that before you mark where that is going to be trimmed, because I actually ended up over a bit on this. It's okay, it'll be stitched over, but some of my trees that are down there got a little shorter on the bottom, but it's okay. It's going to work anyhow. So don't forget to do that step before, or at least mark it so you know where it is, before you draw on any embroidery that you are going to do extra that was not on the original pattern. Very, very good thing to do. And I got a little over anxious while working on this. And because I have all of the quilt blocks and everything to assemble it already ready, I wanted to see how it was going to look with it. Oops, we've got one of the pins stuck in there. Let me get that loose. I wanted to see how it was going to look, which this is the top border. It has flying geese going all the way around it when it is finished. That is the top panel. And then we have the row of blocks and borders that is below that. And you can see, well, I actually have them pinned up out of the way, but I have that whole entire inner border and outer border sewn on only to just before the end of that section, because I can't add that middle one yet because it's not complete. So I did that the same way you would do it if you were sewing a partial seam. All I'll have to do is, when that's on, go back up there, start right in where I left off, and attach it both singly, first the middle seam, of course, and then the inner border, and then the outer border. But that is ready to go. And then I have the sections sewn on to the bottom section. So it is ready. When I get that middle one done, all I have to do is add it up here. And then I have to add the bottom section onto that of the outer border, the flying geese. That can't be done until those side borders are on. But that won't take very long. Once that last inner section is done, I can add that all on and it will be complete, ready to quilt. And I think I've decided, I think I might hand quilt it, but this is the bottom section. The flying geese are all ready to put on there. So that's why I say, hopefully we'll be to grandmother's house, which is my house, within the next day or two. But thank you everyone for saying that is beautiful. It is. I have fallen in love with it myself. I wasn't excited that excited about the Over the River and Through the Woods until I decided to add the coloring technique onto it. And that just made it go into a totally different realm itself. And I have fallen in love with it. And of course, those of you that watched my live on Wednesday saw that I pulled out what is supposed to be a wool applique pattern, but decided that I wanted to do that in embroidery and the coloring technique instead. So I had to make a template myself and everything. But I worked on those not four patch, log cabin blocks, four of them on the bottom. And all of that is traced, ready to go. And I have the freezer paper to stabilize that while I color it, all on there and ready. So as soon as I am done with Over the River and Through the Woods, I will be working on this one. And I do have all the borders and everything cut for this one as well. But I was hoping to have some of the coloring done on that before the end of this week, but I didn't get that far. But let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. Nope. And then, of course, I said I was going to be working on the collage part of myself sitting there in the brain fog for the quilt brain fog that I'm designing as I go. And that, of course, is this part right here. And all I managed to get done was I did have some hexagons also to do that are kind of going to be exploding across the quilt. So I have those all done, turned under, ready to applique on there. But got those completed. And then I got, which I guess these should be, I kept those in there because of the hexagons, but this is all of the extra fabrics, except for the one. I couldn't make up my mind on what fabrics I was going to be using. And I decided, since there is so much black and gray and white in the quilt, I'm going to be bold with the collage, and I'm going to use what I have left of the Tula Pink fabrics that I used in that. So this is actually from a different quilt. I realize we need to take those out of there unless I need those. Those are a different fabric. I just realized that. But I have all of these left over and some of the layer cakes yet. So that is what I am going to be using for the collage. And that will be ready. And I also, in case I need some planes, I have this charm pack of Kona cotton solids that are the brights. So I have those if I need to pull some from that as well. And then I also am working on having Whip on there. This is a dog that I had done earlier. I have to change the ears out and add a few things on there, but he is going to be on the quilt somewhere as well. And also I will be adding stitches to that quilt too. So kind of not a lot, but at least got something going on there, which, as Teresa Louise knows, one of the things that does take time is deciding on the fabrics and choosing the fabrics and deciding on a colorway that you want to go with the collage. So thank you, Teresa Louise. She says, wow, nice art quilt. Hopefully it will be, but not going with the traditional like I did with the one that I have of my mom, that of course is done in skin tones. I'm going to be a little wild, like I guess I always am anyway. But I think we'll wait on the other. Well, no, we'll do it before we get to mail haul. What will be coming up, and which will be a little different. I may not be getting quite as much done as far as quilting and stitching as I normally do, because as you know, the weather is changing. It's nice weather. The things that you need to do out in the yard or outside that you can't do in the wintertime is upon us. And I have a lot. I mean, a lot to do. I have all the flower beds that, of course, I have to figure out how I'm going to work in the flower beds, first of all. How much time do I spend choosing fabrics? Yeah, Joe, that's one thing we all have a dilemma with, don't we? And then we think we decided, and then we change our mind totally and start all over again. But yeah, I need to work in the flower beds, of course. And then, as you know, I am going to be using Bob's workshop. We did sell some of his major big tools that he had in there, so I can kind of get in there and start going through things and organizing. But what I did today, because I'm a planner and an organizer and a little OCD. So the first thing I did was went in there, and like I did, hello, Yo Patty G, welcome. What I did, the same as what I did before getting the cottage and ordering it, is I did a complete floor plan. Well, I have to go according to what the floor plan is of his workshop already. Yes, changing our mind. We do that so often. So I went in, I measured everything. I just have the main floor plan where the windows are, the doors are, the outlets are, my notes that just fell out. A couple things that can't be moved in there, the dimensions, well, the one that can, but that are in there, the dimensions on that, and how high the ceiling is. That's important when you're putting in big, tall cabinets for storage units and stuff. But you need to know, don't get one that's not going to fit, because if you've seen sheds, which is a shed, they have lower ceilings because they always have that storage loft overhead, and you don't think about that when you're going out and purchasing stuff. So I made sure that I know how high it is before you get to that, so anything that I have that's going against the walls as a storage cabinet unit will not end up not fitting in there. Hello, Christiana, welcome to you. And yes, and then I get distracted with pretty fabrics and end up starting yet another project. Oh, do you sound like me, Jane? Yes, we get ourselves in trouble that way, don't we? But so I do have that all done, and I will have to start planning what I am going to remove from here to take out there, because, well, I think most of you know, but some of you may not know yet, that my plan was to move the long arm out there. And then I was sitting here one day, kind of like my brain fog, and it dawned on me that I will not be able to do that because it would have to go right down the middle of the long length of the room. Well, with it sitting there, in order to get into the storage loft overhead, you need a ladder. Well, a ladder is not going to fit because the long arm would be right in the way of where you need to place a ladder. So therefore, we use that storage because we do not get up in our attic in our house anymore. Neither one of us are able to do that. So that is where we have our storage. So that is not going away. We need that. So I will not be moving the long arm out there, but when I showed in my Facebook group, it was a couple pictures of how the cottage was when I first started moving in here, and how there was so much more room to move around in here and everything, because I hadn't added all of the extra storage units that I have in here that have taken up all of that room. Well, I don't like them all in here. I'd like to get back, when I saw that, to having a little bit more space to move around. So since I can't move the long arm yet, I am going to be removing some of the extra storage units that I have and putting those out in the workshop instead. And of course, there's always another caveat to what you are doing. In order to do some of that, there are still a couple large items of Bob's that we are keeping, which is his great big, of course, tool chest, one of those great big double ones, that will be going into our garage instead, and also his workbench. We are keeping both of those. So I had to take measurements for those, figure out where they are going to go in the garage. And of course, I have to clean out the garage, get rid of my overflow stuff that is still in there so that I can move those there to be able to start moving everything else and organizing the workshop. So that is going to be a lot. of work and take a lot of time and energy. But hopefully, and what I plan to do is I plan to take you along on that and go ahead and record some videos. Some of it may be randomly live or whatever, just uh, how much time and if I remember and what I think of while I'm doing it to be able to take my equipment and set it up so that I can do that. I haven't tried using any devices in the workshop yet, so I don't know if I'm able to get a signal there or not. I'll have to try that out and find out. But that way you can see the before, the in between, and the after of that whole shifting and changing things around, which I know some of you enjoy seeing that type of thing. So now on to mail haul. I'll have to watch the rest later. Good to see you. No problem, Teresa. Thank you for popping on. Okay. And here we have the mail haul, which, of course, this didn't come in the mail, but it is stuff that I received. A good friend of mine's daughter does a lot of thrift store shopping. And I told her when she's out and about, I said, if you find any lace or things like that, old lace, doilies, table, crocheted table runners, vintage linens, that type of thing, pick it up for me. So she was out and she got this a beautiful piece, which it is just perfect for being able to actually take apart parts of that and use in many, many different ways. But that is a gorgeous piece that she got. And then she also got this beautiful one, which for slow stitching projects and everything, that is going to be awesome to be able to use. And yes, I'm not afraid to cut them up. Being a crocheter, I know exactly where I can snip that so that things do not fall apart, and there will be multiple ways of being able to use that. And there are two of these, and they are, ooh, oh yes, find me some lace. I know. I wish I knew. I mean, I don't know where she finds all these awesome, awesome thrift stores. I don't know where they are, but look at this. And there are two of these. But and I know the one has some stains on it here and there, but that's okay. You just put something over it. But so I have those, and like I said, this is the same, just there were two of them. She picked them both up, and can you believe that those were $3.99? That awesome, awesome price for that. But and then this must have been from Missouri Star. Yes, this was their daily deal on the day that I was shopping. It is just one of their yeah, for storing a quilt in a quilt storage bag, and it is the full queen size. It was their daily deal. It was a really good price, and Lord knows I have a lot of quilts to store even while they're waiting to be quilted. So I picked that up. And the reason that I went on there was because their layer cakes and jelly rolls were on sale. And I actually ended up getting this pattern, and it is done like a drunkard's path, but it is called Old Mill Path instead. And I really love the Americana fabrics as well as the Civil War fabrics. So I was able to pick up this tried and true layer cake that is going to be beautiful in that pattern. All that pattern takes is a layer cake. So that will work wonderfully for that. And then I love Laundry Basket at a Sitar, for those of you who don't know her, fabrics. And this was a Jelly Roll Lighthouse that is the Laundry Basket fabrics. So I picked that up as well. I didn't pick it up, I ordered it, but you know what I mean. And if I do any of the color pencil tinting instead of the color crayon tinting, this is the medium that you need to do that. It is jacquard textile color. It is a colorless extender that you use when you do that process. I do have some, but I know it goes a long way, but you never know. Always great to have more on hand. And of course, the books never stop. Like I said, I'm going to have to add an addition on just for a library. But hello, Gladys. It is great to see you this evening. This one is called Embroidered Landscapes, and it is a beautiful book. Look at the depth that it gets in there, and this book goes into detail on how to get that depth and make it look so. I mean, all of this, even those mountains back there, are embroidered, and it makes it give that distance and everything. But yeah, it is an awesome book. I'm trying to find what maybe yeah, it goes into just some of the detail on that page on how you get the things to look the different distances, and even shows how to change the direction of your embroidery to give it different looks. But an awesome one, which I plan on using all different methods in stuff that I do all in one project, combining different ones together. So that will come in handy for that. And then, of course, I'm not the greatest freehand drawer, so I need a little help along that. So I got this how to draw flowers step by step, and that should help with that. So, and let me see. Let's save that one. Yeah. Guess what? They have Bob Ross embroidery. And that is the beautiful scenes as well, just like he paints, but that's all done in embroidery. I was thinking there was one I did not read too well. There are actually 10 of them in here. So yeah, that is going to be awesome as well, and use elements of that and everything in some of the landscape and slow stitching that I do. Americana fabrics are lovely. Yes. One of my favorites, always have been. Oh, and this is also just something that I got that goes along with the color pencil tinting technique. They are called yeah, I forget. They are a blending stump, and they are actually made out of paper rolled together. It looks like a chalk pencil or something, but it is actually paper, but very hard, very densely rolled together. This is sandpaper. That is how you sharpen them. But you use those for shading and mixing your colors together when you're doing the color pencil tinting technique. Yes, isn't that beautiful? And um got to get her name right. Meg Hockey, who is the designer for Crab Apple Hill Studio, retired, and of course she herself has sold out all of her stock of her patterns. So you have to go to Etsy, research, eBay, places, wherever you find, just put in a Google search and hope you can find some of her patterns before they are all gone, and there won't be any available anywhere because everybody is just really getting them. But this is one of her older books called Blooms and Blossoms, because she also did beautiful embroidery work, and then started combining the coloring tinting techniques in them later. But an awesome awesome book. Where did I just see that? Just look at the way that flower is done. Is that not gorgeous? But and I get these more as reference and ideas than intending to do any of the patterns exactly like they are done in the book. I have some Inktense pencils. Haven't used them yet. I also have Inktense color pencils. They're a little harder and more intense to use than your normal color pencils and watercolor pencils, but there's a lot of videos out there on that. And I have used them. I used them on the pumpkin fall one that I had done a while back. So you just have to be careful because there's a different way of setting those and everything. But and they the color flows a lot more than what they do in another one. So you have to be careful or you can end up getting it in where you don't want it. But these are a couple of the other Crab Apple Hill Studio patterns I was able to find and get. So I grabbed those. And I love the ones that are the old trucks or vintage vehicles. So I also have this one. You can't see the back that shows it's actually a whole entire little quilt in itself, but beautiful. And it's empty. So that is everything in mail haul for this week. And so unless anyone has any questions, any comments on it, oh, but I do have one thing before you all go that's very important you won't want to miss. And that is something that I'm going to be starting just a little bit different to get a little bit of viewer participation in there. The trucks are so sweet. Yes, they are. And there is, and I can't find it anywhere, but there is a Volkswagen that is shop hop, and it's got, like they were on a retreat or a shop hop, bunch of quilters, and it's got the fabrics and stuff sticking out of the convertible Volkswagen, and I cannot find it anywhere. But what did I just find? I did find, yeah, I've got one or two that will be coming this week that are a couple of different ones that I found on Etsy. I can't remember exactly what they are right now, but they should be arriving this next week. So I'll have those to share. But what I wanted to say is I am going to be doing something a little different in each video that I do. I will be asking a question and there will be also a particular word that you have to use in your answer to that question. And it will be a comment that you have to make in the regular comment section of the video after it is over, not in the live chat. And I will be doing that every week. And at the end of the month, I will have a drawing. And all of those of you that have commented using each video's word and a sentence, with that, and actually answering the question also, but using the word that is in it, will be entered into the drawing. And I will have more than one thing that I give away at the end of the month. And you will get your name in for every time that you do comment, only once per video, but every one that you comment on. Doing that, you will get your name in the drawing. So that is something to look forward to, and that will start with this video. However, it will go on to next month. It's already the end of the month, so that will be thrown in with the month of May for the drawing. And the question for this video is, what is one thing that you would like to see me demonstrate? And the word that you need to use is demonstrate. So that is the question for this video. Demonstrate is the word that you have to use in your answer. And please just keep it to one thing. I know there may be several, but you can always use those at a different time. So just let me know in the comments what is one thing that you would like to see me demonstrate, and using the word demonstrate in your answer. So thank you, everyone. Oh, hello, Libby. I'm sorry I didn't see you pop in. Enjoy your life. So glad I caught you on. Stay well. Well, we won't go there, Libby, but I will stay okay. Which, just a little side comment on that. When you ask how I'm doing or how I am, you will probably never get an answer other than I'm okay. just I just kind of keep all that for the main part to myself. I don't like to get into that. There's just too much to get into. But if I'm really not doing well, you will know. But I always answer with, I'm okay. So take care, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday when I will be doing my next live, and that will actually be doing some stitching or quilting live with you, hopefully demonstrating, giving tips and techniques on what it is that I am doing. So take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week coming up. And in the meantime, as always, remember, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.